Neno hili si hivyo. Mambo ni matatu.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our channel once again. I have consistently opined on this platform on many occasions that in politics nothing happens out of mere coincidence, and that everything in politics is normally well planned, well scripted and executed to achieve a specific political objective. Nothing in politics just happens for the sake of it. Earlier today, Raila Odinga, through his press secretary, Dennis Onyango, accused Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka and Rigathi Gachagua of being behind the misinformation about his health. And most Kenyans questioned why Raila Odinga dragged the name of Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. And Kalonzo Musyoka has responded to Raila Odinga's claim ruthlessly. In this video, I want us to do a critical analysis about Kalonzo Musyoka's response to Raila Odinga. Because for me, my own understanding is that number one, it was actually wrong for Raila Odinga to drag the name of Kalonzo Musyoka into the whole thing. Why am I saying this? Kalonzo Musyoka has stood with Raila Odinga for a very long time. They've worked together as a team for a very long time. And Kalonzo Musyoka would be the last person to wish Raila Odinga death.
Mimi kwa pande wangu nimejaribu hata kufanyishwa interview na Raila. Na tumekuwa na yeye mara 2013, tukashinda wa jamaa Uhuru na Ruto. Tuliwashinda. Tukaenda kotini, tukachelewa, nasema mmoja atleta makaratasi ya kutosha. Haya, tukarudi 2017. Mimi na Raila wangu yule, tukaangusha Ruto na Uhuru tena. Wakakataa, tukaenda kwa mahakama. Tukashinda, mahakama ikakubaliana, rudini mahali kwa kupiga kura. Tukana hii ni upuzi. Without setting it correct, haiwezekani. Sasa mimi Kalonzo nimekuwa na Raila 2013. Sikufanywa interview 2017. Sikufanywa interview 2022. Fanya interview. So we must look at all these things realistically. That was extreme sacrifice.
Sasa hapa niko na ndugu yangu rafiki yetu, yeye ndio Buru amealika yeye siku ya leo kama mgeni maalum. Huyu jamaa tumetembea naye pamoja, tulikuwa naye pamoja kutoka wakati ile ya KANU, alikuwa KANU huko, tukaenda naye tukaunda chama pamoja na yeye, ilikuwa inaitwa LDP. Tukaingia pamoja kwa NARC, tukaenda naye pamoja kwa ODM, tumesimama naye pamoja mara mbili, tumesimama naye pamoja, tukipigana na tujashindwa. Kila mara kwa mara tumekuwa tunanyang'anywa tu. Amesimama na mizizi kidete. Hata mara hii ya mwisho hakuchaguliwa kama mgombea mwenza na yangu, lakini alibaki na sisi. Alibaki na sisi. Jamaa ana moyo. Jamaa ana ukakamavu. Jamaa ni mtu ambaye unaweza kumwamini. Yeye ni mtu mwaminifu. Yeye tena ni mtu Mkristo. Yeye ni mtu ana tabia ya ungingwana. Ana upendo. Ana upendo kabisa. Juzi nilisikia kama Ruto alikuwa pande anasema to, mimi najua baba hata simama. Sasa mimi nitakuwa na Kalonzo tu. Anaongea juu ya Kalonzo kama Kalonzo ni kama yeye. Kalonzo ameshinda bwana Ruto mara 10.
But number two, Kalonzo Musyoka, in my view, actually swallowed the bait. Dennis Onyango set a trap for Kalonzo Musyoka. Before I explain how, let me take you through that statement, because I'm also persuaded, and I'm going to explain, that this statement is also linked to the endorsement of Babu Owino to Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. Someone is also trying to set up Babu Owino against the dual support base for his endorsement of Kalonzo Musyoka. But first of all, let us go through this response by Wiper, which I also think they fell for the trap which was laid for them. This is what the letter says. The latest outburst by the ODM party through its surrogates over imagined misinformation on the health of Raila Odinga is nothing short of political theater, an act of desperation from a once respected movement that has lost both its moral compass and political relevance. Kalonzo is suggesting that ODM party has lost its relevance and moral compass. That ODM party used to be respected, but it's no longer. In saying here, let it be stated clearly, His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka harbors no ill will whatsoever towards Mr. Odinga. The two leaders shared a long public history of cooperation and mutual respect. Any suggestions that His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka wishes harm upon Raila is malicious, reckless, and utterly false. ODM's attempt to drag His Excellency Kalonzo into its internal confusion is a weak distraction from the cracks splitting the so-called broad-based government they now defend so blindly. To some extent, I agree with Kalonzo Musyoka's statement, because having worked with Raila Odinga for that long, Kalonzo would be the last person, in my view, I could be wrong, to wish harm to Raila Odinga. But the only thing I don't get here is how the ODM party, for example, linked Raila Odinga's health to broad-based government, or how Kalonzo Musyoka is linking Raila Odinga's health to broad-based government. Those are two different issues. Health issues are health issues. And it proceeds here. It is frankly a mockery of the nation's intelligence that ODM, once a beacon of reform, now finds comfort in the pits of hell with a regime that butchered our young people during Gen Z protest and continues to abduct online critics in the dead of night. To watch them stand shoulder to shoulder with those who have maimed and silenced the youth is both shameful and unforgivable. Again, you don't understand the relevance here, because Kalonzo Musyoka is trying to use this particular statement to appeal to the young people. Probably is trying to incite the young people against ODM party. And I'm 100% convinced that their main target were the young people online. And it proceeds here. ODM must also be reminded that Mr. Odinga's failed bid for the African Union Commission chairmanship was not the doing or undoing of His Excellency Kalonzo. His loss stemmed from the diplomatic blunders and mishandling by the very government he is now in bed with. A government that lacked both strategy and credibility on the continental stage. His defeat was not a shock, but rather a consistent trend that mirrors the political miscalculations of those now attempting to rewrite history. Now, on the loss of Raila Odinga to the AU, at some point, I tend to agree with Kalonzo, but also disagree with him. Raila Odinga's bid for the AU was good, or would have been good for the country, but it was mismanaged. There was no way you could expect someone like Professor Makwiny to lead that campaign. You look at the people who are leading that campaign and the people who are left out, then you wonder. I would have expected, for example, someone like, say, Mohisa Kitui to lead this campaign or to be part of it. But again, as they say, it's now water under the bridge. And Kalonzo is continuing here. ODM's hollow moralizing and blame games cannot mask their betrayal of Kenyan people. Their alliance with President Ruto's regime, the same administration responsible for bloodshed, economic ruin, and repression, exposes them as co-author of the nation's suffering. ODM latest statement is not about Raila's health. It is about their guilt, their fear, and their desperate attempt to justify a political marriage sinking of despotism. No one, and absolute no one, will drag His Excellency Kalonzo into their self-inflicted political decay. Kalonzo remains committed to justice, truth, and a Kenya that values life and the liberty over expediency, money, and power. I love that last statement. But ladies and gentlemen, I strongly believe that Dennis Onyango laid a trap for Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka. Dennis Onyango is the press secretary. And I expected Wiper, for example, to respond through their press secretary. Instead, they opted to use the second in command in the party, who is the Secretary General, to respond to that statement by Dennis Onyango. I don't know what will happen tomorrow if Edwin Sifuna were to wake up on, do I say right or wrong side of bed, and issue a scathing attack on Kalonzo. So that is exactly what Dennis Onyango is trying to do. They are trying to lay trap, and Kalonzo fell for it. I'm saying this because if you look at it critically, Kalonzo Musyoka needs ODM party because he's running for the presidency. Raila is not running. ODM party does not need Kalonzo Musyoka. I've always opined on this platform on many occasions that for Kalonzo Musyoka to succeed, he must get a percentage of ODM support base. And that's why the endorsement by Babu Owino is significant. And I also believe that part of the statement by Dennis Onyango was intended to hurt people like Babu Owino. Because they had endorsed Kalonzo, it was expected that Luo Nation, because I've repeated this countless times on this platform, that if there's one man who enjoys soft spot amongst the Luo Nation, that person is none other than Kalonzo Musyoka. Babu Owino is going to easily help him penetrate the region with a good strategy. But now what are we seeing? Dennis Onyango issuing a statement and Kalonzo Musyoka responding the way he's done. Ladies and gentlemen, this statement is also about political betrayal, the 2027 politics. It confirms what I've always said on this platform, that politics has only two constants, that is the interest and the betrayal. So I want to ask you, between Kalonzo and Raila, who has betrayed who? Because it seems their interests are no longer converging. Until next time, this is Lee Makwiny. Bye-bye.